Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me for this video. In this video, I want to go over my top 5 unanswered questions from the Dead Space franchise. Now this doesn't include anything that comes from the extended universe, such as the anime or the comic books. The list that I am about to present with you here is strictly based off of information you can receive while playing the game. And while many of us Dead Space fans want a fourth sequel to answer these questions, first I'd like to ask them. Starting with number 1, I would like to learn more about the markers. I would like to learn more about their purpose. We know the effect that they have on people. They can cause you to have mental illnesses, developmental disabilities, dementia, but they also cause dead bodies to become reanimated and turn into these necromorphs by some type of signal that they emit. Now, that's really the only explanation that they give in the game, and I would like to learn more about them, such as who was the first race that created them, why were they created. We learn at the end of Dead Space 3 that they're used to make the giant moons, but that's about it. Number 2 is this thing. Now, this creature shows up very late towards the end of Dead Space 2 when you're approaching the marker, and it's unlike any necromorph that you've faced throughout the entire game. Now, there is reference in the game by people that work on the markers through audio logs and emails that you can read that they feel that there is a race that is trying to be recreated out of the marker, that the markers are basically a rebirth for these species. And they never really elaborate on that anymore. You find in Dead Space 3 that this creature looks a lot like the inhabitants of the frozen planet that you're on, which I don't know if that's just a design choice or if they had something in the story that they had to cut out, but I would like to learn more about them and what exactly their purpose were, and if they were the first race to create the markers. And for number 3, I would like a better explanation of how Isaac and Carver survived the end of Dead Space 3. Now, at the end of Dead Space 3, they are battling the giant moon with the machine that these aliens built, and it causes the planet to collapse, it causes the moon to get pulled down, it causes Isaac and Carver to get pulled down. They get pulled down by rocks, there's rubble everywhere, there's explosions going on, and you naturally assume that, well, of course they died. And that would have been a nice wrap-up, but they had a different explanation.
Isaac, you activated the codex. The moon fell. We fell. So that's it? We were saved by fucking aliens?
I quit trying to make sense of it all back on the Ishimura.
And for number 4, I would like to learn more about the moons. Now this goes back to the marker and the original makers of the marker. What are the moon's real purpose? You know, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that maybe the makers of the marker used them to avoid catastrophe from losing the population of a planet and possibly combine them into one organism, but it had, detrimental side effects. But I would like to learn more. I would like them to maybe explain them a little bit more. I know they say that some of the best mysteries are the ones that are left untold, but for stuff like this that are major plot points of the game, I'd like to learn more about them. And finally, for number 5 is the ending to the DLC Awakened. You see here that at the end, they make it back to Earth only to find that the moons and the necromorphs have made it there first, and then the screen cuts out the black. Now, I actually had a viewer tell me that that was the ending, that the good guys lost and the zombies won, but it's not a definite ending. So I would like to know, if they plan on making any more to continue this story, if it wasn't a cliffhanger ending, or if that was the ending and we're all just looking for nothing. But those are my top 5 unanswered questions from Dead Space. If you guys have a different list or have any comments on mine, go ahead and leave them down below. And until next time, guys, thanks for joining me.